What is up, guys? So today we're going to be doing a battery swap on this mighty Tascam 688. It's still got the original battery in it. It's never been changed before. These batteries were meant to last for about 5 years, and the battery in this machine has never been swapped. It's not saving scenes. So let's go ahead and get it downstairs onto the bench and get this battery swapped out. So what we're going to be using is a larger battery than what comes stock. This is a CR3032 3-volt battery. I believe this is like a 10-year battery, and what comes in here is usually like a 5. But the battery that's in here is soldered in. So what we're going to have to do is swap it out for our own mount. So that way future users can just go in and swap out the battery, slide the old one out, slide it back in. And our challenge today is we're going to have 2 points that we need to solder here. We have our negative right on the bottom there, then we have our positive. But the old battery has 2 positive leads, kind of like little teeth that stick down in to the circuit board. So what we're going to do is take just a little piece of wire, trim off both ends, that way we can jumper from one positive to the other positive socket. So that way we have power going to both. So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to need to do is remove some of the aesthetic parts of the machine. So we're going to want to take off this armrest here and the sides as well. As you can see, the armrest here, and it's slotted. So that means that we don't have to take these screws all the way out. There's also a couple screw holes in here. So we're just going to back them out a little bit, which is going to allow us to slide that armrest right off. I'm going to get some overhang here on my desk, and I'm going to go down below and loosen those up real quick. So once you have those loosened up, you should be able to back this guy right off. So fantastic. On the sides, we have a screw here. We have a screw up here. We're going to want to go ahead and pull those out. So let's do that right now. Always important, stay organized. Make sure that you keep your screws in a safe place for later. And so once you do that, these will get kind of loose. Here's the trick. As long as it's loose, you should be able to grab it, kind of pull down, and then it'll start to come away. And so you can kind of swivel it and lift it off, but I'm going to show you something else real quick. And so one thing we can do is loosen this screw here. You can slide this tab out that kind of holds it in. This allows it to just come down and then come away. So now that we have the armrest off and the sides off, those 6 screws, they'll need to be taken out here. There's 2 tinier screws that need to come out. The other thing we're going to have to remove before we can pull this side up is this panel off here. It's only held on by a couple screws, so we got one here, 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 and here. So that's 4 screws on top, and I believe there's 1, 2, 3 screws on the back. All right, you'll notice that these 2 screws right here on the right are different than the previous 2 screws. The screws that are towards the left-hand side have this little lip, kind of like a pre-washer kind of thing, whereas these don't. These are the same you'll find on the back of the machine. So just make sure to keep those separated and make sure you put them back in the right order. Once you have those off, the plate should just pop right off. All right, so with those screws removed, let's go ahead and pull this guy up. Looks like we have to take this little pitch control knob off here. So let's go ahead and throw it off to the side. These are smaller screws, so we don't want to lose these. So go ahead and stash these away as well. All right, it should open up just like that. And you're gonna see these are a little taut. So we're gonna go ahead and remove some of these little plugs. You can sort of wiggle it out of place. So there's one. Looks like we got a ground attached over here that has to come undone, so we'll grab that after. This guy has to go too. Be as delicate as we can pulling this guy out. Got one more over here. There we go. So we still have this ground, so that's got to go. This is going up to our tape speed. Let's plug it in right here. It'll be pretty gentle. Wiggle it out. Then we got a couple down here. 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see that there's 2 grounds. So there's a ground to the remote and our punch. So let's go ahead and take a screw out there. All right, it's a little gold screw with a little lip. So go ahead and set that off to the side so we don't lose it. Once you have that out, everything should just come away. So if we look, this is the old battery here. There's a couple legs and it's soldered on. I guess they used to do this all the time back in the day, but it doesn't make it too convenient if you're going to be the end user. So let's get the rest of the machine out of the way and then we will dismount this guy from the board. So now we have the transport cover off. Truth be told, I couldn't find much information on how to do this, so we are just gonna go for it and see what we find. We'll have to undo these little twist ties here. We've got a second one over here. Okay, so we freed that up. Now we have to figure out how this is being held on. Looks like we have these little plastic tabs. I don't know what the technical word for these is, but what we're gonna have to do is get a pair of pliers and just pinch each corner and gently pull up. It looks like there's 4 of them, so let's give that a try. All right, so we pinched all 4 corners, and so this board should just come right away. We could unplug these, but I'm just gonna be a little bit lazy about it, and I'm just gonna kind of leave it attached while we're figuring it out. Got the battery here with the 2 legs, and we can see, here's how it attaches. So there's 1, 2, 3. These should be the positives that we're gonna have to jumper with this little guy, and then here is your negative. Let's go ahead and grab our solder sucker. We just have to put it right on there. All right, let's check it out. Bam, all right, battery came right out. So this is our culprit. Here's our old battery, kind of wild. So we can see the mount holes. We got our 2 positives, then we got our negative right here. Let's see how she fits. And obviously, as you see, the CR3032 is a larger battery. So we're gonna figure out which way is better to position it. All right, so I did find a way to seat this that is going to work. I took this negative pin and I kind of bent it down a little bit. It's gonna bend down so that allows us to get some grab into those sockets. Normally, you really wouldn't wanna like manipulate a piece to make it work, but I think in this case it's going to. But if I were to do it again, I might opt for like the smaller battery size just to make it easy, even though you would have to change it out sooner, but let's check it out. So the only drawback of doing it this way is that the plate itself is going to rest on these 2 chips here. This is all plastic. There's no metal that's going to touch it, so we don't have any sort of bridging issues, so we're not going to end up shorting anything. And I'm going to press down on this just to keep it in place. And we can see you got 1 leg right here, you got another leg right here. So what we're going to end up doing is jumping these 2 right after. And that feels pretty good. So the scary part for me, we're gonna go ahead and add a jumper right in here. And then we're gonna take our shorter line here, kind of jumper it right into that mount. It's a little scary, but we're gonna get through it together, right? So that's good and held into place. Let's go ahead and bend it around. Now we're gonna wanna touch these 2. Now we're gonna come around, grab this lead and pull it down and solder it to that other positive. Let's go ahead and examine our work just to make sure it's good. All right, that's good. So let's line that up, give it a little push. So that's back in place. Wind these twist ties. That's probably good for the moment. So let's grab the rest of the body and put it all back together. I guess right before we do that, we should probably pop our battery in. Okay, now that we have the battery swapped, let's power it on and see what we got here. So it does boot up. We got scene 1 here, scene 2, scene 3, scene 4. Okay, so the stock scenes are still there, which is fantastic. I wasn't sure if we were gonna lose those. Let's go ahead and go in and try to save our own scene. Go to scene 98 inputs. Let's go to the mic inputs and let's send 8765 there. And then let's go to the line inputs. We're under group 2. Let's go 1, 2, 3, 4. Now let's go to our main assignment. Let's send everything to its own individual bus. We'll go bus 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8. So you can see the memories blinking right now, meaning that changes have been made to the scene. So what we're going to want to do is hold down store copy and then scene/MIDI. Cool. So it looks like it's stored. Moment of truth. We're going to power it down, power it back on. Here we are, saved at scene 98. That's exactly where we were. So it looks like we're in business. Let's go ahead and power this guy back off and put it all back together. weekend. Perfect. Now let's go ahead and put this guy back up. Just drop right on. Then we can tighten it up. All right, and that covers it, guys. We are good to go for the next 10 years here. Good luck. All right, so overall, not the world's worst repair. If I were to do this again, though, I would probably opt for putting in the smaller battery, just so you don't have to play with that spacing. The drawback being, obviously, you'd have to go in every 5 years and change it out. If you have any experience at all working on these machines, it's not too hard of a repair to do. It's gonna save you some time, the next user some time. So it's definitely something you'll want to do if you're just picking up one of these machines, because odds are it hasn't been done since the machine left the factory. Being able to save these scenes is key, because it's gonna save you a lot of time, because you don't have the convenient switching that you have on other Tascam models. But overall, these are fantastic workhorses. I highly recommend getting one. So yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and get out there and record something.